Hey, this is Joe from HomeStudioCorner.com talking a little bit more about audio setup inside of Studio One. Now, you may be wondering where some of the settings are. You're looking around in the audio setup page, but you don't see a lot of things you're looking for, like your I/O setup and even sample rate and things like that. They're not really here. Well, it says sample rate here, but you can't change that. So what do? That's actually a really good question. And the truth is you can't find it like this. The thing is, Studio One saves all of that information on a song-by-song basis. So if you have a weird routing for a certain song, it's saved with that song and doesn't apply to everything else you work on, which is kind of cool. So watch what happens when we open up a song and then we go to the preferences. You'll notice that now the audio setup page has these buttons down here, one of which is song setup. So these are settings specifically to the song. So if we click on that, you see all the input-output routing stuff that you're probably used to from another system. First, we're going to talk about the general setting page. Here's where you can adjust and change the sample rate, resolution, bit depth, also frame rate if you're doing video stuff, and a few other things. Okay, these are the main ones here. I recommend getting this right at the beginning, but if you have to change it for some reason, you can. Now, I don't think this applies to the files already in the session, but I think it would apply to anything you record from here on out. So if you started a session at 16-bit on accident and you wanted the rest of the recordings to be at 24-bit, you could change it here. That's how you get to that. Now, this is a page I don't come to often, but it's good to know where it is in a pinch. Now, these are two settings I want you to know about. First is stretch audio files to song tempo. When you first create a song, you have the option of turning this on or off. I leave it off by default because if I have a piece of audio already in a song and I decide to change the tempo, let's say the piece of audio was just a cymbal swell. That doesn't matter. That doesn't need to be matched up to a tempo, right? I can just move it to the right spot in the song. So if I change the tempo after that cymbal swell file is in the song, that'll actually stretch that cymbal file to the new tempo, thinking it's a loop that needs to be matched to the tempo. So I leave this off because I don't use a lot of loops. If you do use a lot of loops, then you might want to leave this on. And that means if you bring a loop into your session and the loop is at 100 BPM and your session is at 120, then it'll automatically stretch that out to 120 BPM. It's a really handy tool if you do that style of production. I personally don't do that, so that doesn't make sense to have that on. And it's nice to have the option of changing that on or off. Secondly, when you're mixing and you're updating a mastering file, meaning you're sending that mix to the project window, you can decide whether or not that includes the effects on your master fader. Now, I leave this on because I tend to like to put usually some sort of bus compression there. But if all you use is, let's say, limiting just to get it loud to check things, and you never remember to turn the limiter off before updating the mastering file, then you can turn off this setting and that limiter will never be there. Just remember that it's not there. If you start doing bus compression, it's not going to be there. Okay? Okay.